Also, when
What
you
is
are
it?
in real time trying to correct that, you make a weird face.
Like this?
No, you're like, it's like a constipated face. I honestly think it has to be better to just allow me to cut out a little than have your panic face.
I do panic.
You do
when
panic.
When I feel like
Or when I
something
say something
technically
you
is
don't like, you're like,
You're moving outside of the view.
Yeah. I think it's better to have me move slightly outside of the view than have you.
Well, you know what?
My system
Yes.
isn't working. The system is breaking down.
And then I think also from my end, like recognizing that there is a different level of burden and responsibility that you are bearing. I mean, you're also like, there's a gender thing here that we're talking about, but also you are the default parent.
Right.
And so recognizing there's a different level of burden that you have in that I have to actually work to be aware of it.
Right.
Rather than just being like, well, I don't want that. I'm not, hey, that's not something I'm wanting. That's something you're choosing to do.
That's right. I didn't ask you for that.
Right. And so I think that those are the two places where
well, I think the place even before that is no one set this system up on purpose. So I think being able to say it and just, I mean, I can't tell you, I posted that and very quickly had many messages of, I had no idea other people felt this way. I had no idea that this was a dynamic in any other relationship but ours. I didn't even know I felt this way till I read that. And like, yes, I don't think people know that this is one of those things that's distancing. It's just like.
Can I say, I think one of the reasons people don't know is because just like I said, like, it's not a dynamic you want. Like, I don't want you to serve me. And you don't want to be
and serve. I think.
Well, you know, I don't want you to like be
make
doing
accommodations.
Yeah, accommodate me, and you don't want to feel responsible in this way. But I think that we live in a culture and a society and a system that it's just inherent to it, and.
Well, I think
unless you're mindful of it and aware of it and intentional to work against it, you are just going to be operating that way.
I know for a fact I had very direct messages growing up that this was how it needed to be.
Oh.
Maybe not that it was like, definitely it shouldn't be this way. I was raised by a single mom. Like, she was, you know, she literally did everything.
Well, she had to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so part of it was just you saw
someone doing everything.
Yeah.
Yes, but even within that, though, there was this idea of I was going to have to do more. That it was easier for me just to take that on, like, just do it. You see it, just do it. Like, and I think even in school, it happened over and over and over. I just think like explicit direct messaging. So I don't think it's just this like, I don't know.
Oh yeah. I didn't mean like, yes, there's explicit direct messaging that creates the context. I think that partners get in, like they get into that in their relationship and they're not wanting to. It's just the water you're swimming in. It's just the air you breathe. And so it happens.
Sorry.
I think that's what I'm saying.
And I also think that this was not a dynamic in our relationship until we had kids. I think that when that stress was not present, we both it was very equitable. We definitely had a relationship where I didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about that. I'm sure I could find some moments, but like mostly.
Maybe it intensified it a little bit.
Yes.
Because I think that, with kids, there's just more to do. And then
there is just more to do, but I also think we do sort of go back into some old nervous system patterns.
Well, I think those cultural scripts get stronger too with kids. So, it's the,
well, this is how I saw this growing up. So this must be how to do it. We never talked about how we were going to do bedtime. So we just like do what we know, those types of things.
Or, who's going to be responsible for, things like meals and all this, all the mental load stuff. That's a cultural script about like, well, the default parent takes care of that. And again, as we're talking about mixed gender, the woman takes care of that, those kinds of things. Like
the very first step is just talking about it, feeling vulnerable, because it's vulnerable. I don't like saying that I have defaulted to that I don't enjoy
I-
that. It makes me feel small and embarrassed and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that again.
Yeah. And I in no way love
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
hearing that you feel like I need accommodations. That I don't like that at all. Because it kind of, I mean, I think that in some ways that, I might feel embarrassed that it would
Right.
feel that way.
I
I might,
Yeah.
also just feel like, like I'm capable. Like I don't, I don't need to be accommodated in that way, yeah. And what I can do is just become defensive against it rather than just listening to the fact that it's happened. And if that's not the way I want it to be, I can most certainly do something to help shift that.
I think the conversation is like, hey, I sometimes think this is something we're falling into.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah. How can we work against it? How can we combat it? How can we
And how do
be
our
different?
stories
Yeah.
inform it? Because the thing in sessions and conversations with friends, with ourselves, the things that take these out of stuck, defensive, attacking places is when we talk about our stories that informed how we got here. I am never going to hear a story about, well, honestly, even myself, I'll just say myself at this point, but like to bring that up, like I've felt this before and here's how it happened for me. And this is what it looked like. And this is why I think I do that. Even talking about it, I can hear like, there's just a more tenderness in my voice. There's an openness. There's a curiosity. There's a, like, I don't want that story anymore. Let's not have that cycle.
Right. And like I said, that appeals to my story in the sense that I feel like I saw, a relationship where that very dynamic was happening.
Right.
The wife, the mom was accommodating the husband and trying to do all of this. And it was really sad to see. And so like, I care about that and I don't want to hear that. And I want it to be different. And so it is in the being able to share those stories where you actually find the commonality, right? Which the commonality is, well, we don't want that. I think so oftentimes what happens is couples are saying like it's happening and everyone gets defensive and says, no, it's not. Like I don't mean to do it. Well, that's your problem for feeling that way. And I think if you can just bypass all of that and say, well, it's happening. What can we do about it since it's happening? And I think part of that is needing to acknowledge like, I'm sorry it's happened. I can see how that happened. Like you have to acknowledge the hurt, but I think then you say like, okay, so let's just do something different. Because that's not something that we want. And I think a lot of the conversations get stuck in the defensive place. And that's, where people come and, talk to us.
Right. So we can slow that down. We can help find the how these came to be and find opportunities for a new way of interacting around the same things, because those moments will still be stressful. Everyone has stress, but I think that's the thing. I'm entitled to be stressed too. And just because I'm asking myself to absorb it and pretend like I'm fine, everything's fine, I'm fine, when I'm obviously not, you are also not fine.
Right.
And me acknowledging that for myself is going to give you lots of opportunities to step up.
Well, yeah.
And make space for that too.
Yeah. And that is equity,
Yeah, sure.
It is both partners taking accountability, both partners taking responsibility and working together to try and help one another feel good and balanced and mutually supported and mutually seen. That's how this can shift from a place of inequity and missing one another to a place of balance and equity.